Queen City News is marking Pride Month with a deeper look at what is, for now, an uncertain future for the LGBTQ community. President Trump issued an executive order at the beginning of this year declaring that there are only two genders. And that's left a lot of questions for transgender, non-binary, and those who are born with both male and female characteristics. We sat down with members of the LGBTQ community about what the presidential order and the rhetoric from D.C. means for them and their future. In a country that promises liberty and justice for all, some say that promise no longer includes them.
These are business owners, these are parents, these are students, these are scientists, these are artists that are also queer and trans.
On his first day in office for his second term, President Donald Trump signed an executive order aimed at eliminating the idea of gender identity. According to the White House, the idea that males can identify as females and thus become women and vice versa is a false claim. But for North Carolinian Riss Chambers, who identifies as non-binary and goes by the pronouns they, them, they believe there's nothing false about them. Are you delusional?
No, I'm not.
Are you crazy?
No.
Are you confused?
I mean, there's a lot of things in this world that confuse all of us, but I'm not confused about my gender.
And while the executive order claims to restore biological truth, Chambers, who works for the Human Rights Campaign, or HRC, says biology isn't always black and white. They point to intersex people, those born with a mix of reproductive traits, as proof that even science can't always box people in.
They're real and they're accounted for in science. So how is it that they're real, they're accounted for in science, but because of what you see me as, because you don't know my chromosomal makeup, I don't even know my chromosomal makeup. Like, do you know yours?
No idea. Chambers says most people never even know their chromosomal makeup because most of us never get that kind of genetic testing. What Chambers says they do know is that calls to HRC have surged since the executive order, with trans and non-binary people reporting they feel more scared than ever.
Yeah, there is fear because of the fact that there is now a very visible target that this administration is trying to paint on their back.
It's a fear that Charlotte comedian Shane Lane, who identifies as a trans man, knows all too well. He says the executive order is more than just rhetoric, it's fueling a dangerous reality for people just like him.
It gives people a pass, in a sense, to be hateful. It feels definitely more just because we exist, our lives are in danger.
For Lane, even using the women's bathroom, something the president's order would require in federal buildings, could land him in danger because of the way he looks.
Can I be safe to explain to someone I'm with this situation, or is it the part of the situation where I kind of need to reserve myself a little more and protect me?
The data backs up what both Lane and Chambers say. According to GLAAD, the Gay and Lesbian Alliance Against Defamation, hate crimes against trans and gender non-conforming people are up 14% from last year, coinciding with President Trump's return to power. For Chambers, part of their work is tying up loose ends, trying to understand where that hate comes from. Their take, it comes in part from fear of what they don't know and what they may want for their children.
So I understand fear of change, fear of being wrong, fear of your kid having a harder life because of the way that they identify. Those are valid fears.
That understanding comes from experience, after spending most of their life trying to fit into a box that society dictated. Once Chambers found the language needed to describe who they were, they say it gave them the feeling of finally being free.
For me, the biggest part about coming out to myself was, am I going to be okay with what comes from living free?
What comes with that?
So much joy. So much joy.
As Chambers' shirt states, the joy is what HRC is focusing on, a uniting rally against the executive orders and the rhetoric coming out of the White House. Because at the end of the day, Chambers says trans and non-binary people want the same things the rest of Americans do.
Trans people often are facing the same issues you are. They want to be able to afford good quality work where they can work with dignity, where they can get health care, where they can be able to afford to buy a home or rent a home, where they can afford to have quality food, where they have enough time to actually cook quality meals. You know, these are things that are affecting all of us.
Queen City News Plus. Just search Queen City News on your smart TV's app store.